Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is C. I'm a self-taught jewelry maker. Today I'm going to show you how to make a stud earrings. It comes in 4 styles. The first will be the heart. I'm wearing it right now here just to show you how it looks like on my earlobe. The second would be the teardrops. And the third would be the circle. And the fourth one is a special request from Sandy. Sandy, if you're watching this video is for you. I don't know exactly how to call that shape yet. So if you have an idea in your creative brain, I would love to get some idea. It can be kolimasu. I'm thinking about snail, but snail doesn't have a nice name to it, right? I don't know. So please give me some idea. This stud doesn't have to be soldered. If you have a pair of pliers, you're good to go. You also need to have a hammer and an anvil, and the hammer has to have like a smooth edges so it will not scratch the surface. However, if you do not have this kind of hammer, I understand. I will show you how to do it without using the good hammer. You can borrow the hammer from your husband's. And if you do not have a wire cutter, it's okay too. You can replace it with nail cutters, which I did at the beginning of my activities. And last but not least, I want you to stick around because there's going to be a surprise at the end. And let's have fun. Without further ado, let's get to work. Let's go! I want to make these 3 shapes first because the amount of wire needed is the same, which is 4 centimeters. Here I'm cutting 6 pieces of 6 centimeter wires, which consists of a pair of rose gold filled, a pair of yellow gold filled, and a pair in silver. If you think that 1 millimeter thickness of the wire is too large for your earlobe piercing, especially if you want to make the jewelry for a child, then you can definitely use 20 gauge wire. Here I'm smoothing the edges of each wire using the burr cup mounted on a power tool for a faster process. I am lining up the wire and mark 1 centimeter on one side for the stud. I'm using Sharpie so it will not rub off while we shape the piece. Here, let's grab the silver wire and make 3 segments, marking 1 centimeter. And from that, the 3 centimeter, you're going to divide it into 2, which is 1.5 each. Using flat nose pliers, I'm bending the first 1.5 segments in 90 degrees and bending the 1 centimeter segments perpendicular to the V. It's easier if you watch the video, and it's going to look like this. Now change the pliers into a larger round nose, shape the end of the 1.5 into a half circle. Don't worry, you can shape it however you like at this point. We just want the wire to curve. And as for the diameter, we'll see it later. And do the same for the other 1.5 centimeter segments. You'll see it slowly started to form a heart. Now I'm going to make the 2 curves meet by adjusting the shape so it look harmonious, of course. Same diameter on the bump, and the length of the heart also need to be identical. So you're gonna make a lot of adjustment with your flat nose pliers here. Let's review the steps. 3 segments, 1 centimeter and 2 of 1.5 centimeters. Fold the second segments into V shape and then fold the 1 centimeter perpendicular to the V. Fold the longer segment into a half circle, one end and another end. And voila, this is the pair. I'm quite happy with the shape, so I'm gonna save it like this. Next, we're going to make the teardrops. Using the flat nose pliers, form an L shape. Then take your larger round nose pliers and just bend right in the middle.
Okay, this teardrop is way too narrow for my taste. I'm going to enlarge this by inserting the mandrel inside the teardrop and slide it on slowly to the diameter that I want. And slowly just push the two ends together. And this is how you make a teardrop stud earrings without soldering. A little bit of a guidance for you. The end result of the diameter of the largest drop, it should be somewhere around 8 millimeters. Let's move on to the circle shape. You may think that this is the easier to make. Well, let's see. The same step like the two previous pieces, which is folding the 1 centimeter segment wire into an L shape. And now grab the large diameter round nose pliers and curve one side like this. Then go to the other side and curve it all the way until the wire form into a circle. I'm doing this so that the two ends can meet easily, because if I go straight to the second step, which is curving the wire all the way, it will not be easy to curve the very end of the wire because it's just 1 millimeter left, for example. So the result, the two ends will not meet. In order to make sure that the circle is perfect, I'm using a mandrel. I slide it down until the two edges meet, preferably touching, of course, and hit the wire using the wooden hammer because it will not leave traces with the wooden hammer on the gold field. It's very important, but also it will help shape the piece instead of just harden the wire. Let's move on to hardening the wires by hammering. Here I have my anvil ready and I would like to start with hardening the hard stud. Here I have prepared two cardboards, and for this stud we are not going to use my usual hammer but instead a heavy duty hammer that you can definitely borrow from your home improvement toolbox. You want to sandwich the stud with the cardboards. The intention is to keep it from getting scratched. And hold it tight with your hand and hammer. Since the hammer head is huge and the piece to harden is quite small, especially it's in 18 gauge, and I was lucky that my wire type is a half hard, so I do not have to hammer that much. Also, don't forget to harden the stud part. That is the most important part that people sometimes overlook. And that's it. These are quite hard. As you can see, I tried to move it and it's stiff. My work here is done. Let's move on to the teardrop. This is my first jewelry hammer with a flat surface on one and ball on the other side. I'm going to harden and give texture to the front side with this, so it's two jobs in one work here. I need to hold the stud against the anvil to make sure that it will not move around. And make sure that the hammering is uniformly hitting the whole surface. And most of the time when the hammering is too hard, the piece is smooth. So you make sure that you have the flat nose pliers ready. Make sure to stick around until the end to see the result. Moving on to the third, the circle. Now with this, we're going to use my favorite hammer, but instead of using the ball peen normally, I'm gonna use the flat texturing side. So satisfying to see the smooth edges transform into a straight line texture. So far, this is my favorite. The texture has given a different vibe to the stud. Moving on to the spiral design. Have you given me the name yet? Please leave some idea on the comment below if you have other ideas of what to name of this spiral design. With this pair, I'm going to use a pair of 20 gauge wire. I'm using a dead soft silver wire. The length is 5.5 centimeters. Here I'm marking a segment of 1 centimeter for the stud. Use the flat nose pliers, fold the segment, forming an L shape. Now this is when things get complicated. Get a pair of round nose pliers and on another end of the wire make a circle but not all the way. Grab your Sharpie ready. We are going to mark segments on this wire. First segment is 0.6 centimeters. The second segment is 0.8 centimeter and the third one is the same 0.8 centimeter. Now using the flat nose pliers, you want to bend this between the segments 1 and 2 and the same thing between the 2 and 3. On the third marking also we want to bend an angle. It doesn't have to be 90 degrees. We're going to adjust it later. Now take the round nose pliers and you want to move the 3/4 circles to the side, like 90 degrees from where it normally is. And then using the larger diameter round nose pliers, you want to continue curving the wire all the way up to where the stud is. They're going to meet up here. Once it gets closer to the other end, you can already see the shape. And then just fold back the 3/4 circle using the flat nose pliers. Do it slowly, not to deform the shape. And in the end, it will form into a front-facing stud. I'm making a couple of adjustments until it reached the ideal shape. And here I'm making the other half of the pair in a mirror image. I just want to encourage you who have just started, and if it's not identical or if the shape does not reach to the shape that you expected, don't be sad. You can always practice, and anyway, a touch of handmade, they're not supposed to be perfect, right? Moving on to hardening and hammering, I'm using my favorite hammer. You have probably already know if you have watched a couple of my videos in the past that I always use this hammer. Fairy keepers, this is it. We have got 4 pairs of stud earrings, each with its own shape and a different texture finish. I love how each one has a totally different personality, even though they're all made using the same basic technique. Let me know in the comment which texture you like best. Now, let's see what we have in store for the surprise. I've got a few ideas for pairing these stud earrings with dangles. Since they're not soldered, the opening makes it super easy to slide on any charms you like. You can switch them up anytime. It's like having different pieces of jewelry in one style. Here for the teardrops, I pair with this 1 centimeter diameter strawberry quartz for a contrast look and mismatch it with this cute little lilac tassel. Next, still keeping that mismatch vibe, I'm pairing the spiral design with this turquoise, opal, and pearl that gives off a Chinese inspired feel, finished with a gold tassel. For the heart, I'm pairing it with this deep red, magenta, purple blend of long dangle, wire wrap in yellow felt. Then back to basic for the circle stud, a clean blue Swarovski crystals. The diameter of it is 8 millimeters, almost as large as the circle itself. Simple, modern, and chic. And as a bonus look, I'm revisiting the teardrop design. This time, I'm replacing the gumball quartz with a cube crystal on a long chain tassel. I think this version feels a little bit more balanced, airy, dainty.
Diary keepers, thank you so much for watching. I am done. If this video is inspiring to you, or if it helps you to create, or it makes you happy, then my job here is done. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to click like and subscribe. Also, please share to as many friends as you know, for those who need it maybe. This action would really help my channel grow. I'll see you on the next video. Bye bye. Oh yeah, this and last but not least, and last but not sorry.